Shalom Aleichem, everybody. Today's daf is daf Samech Daled, and we start from around 20 lines from the top. The line is Hadar Yasv V'Kabaylahu. In the beginning of the line, it says Hadar Yasv V'Kabaylahu. The Amiroim sat, Rav Nachman, Ula, Avimi Bar Papi. They all sat together and they discussed the following shaila. Imagine sitting with the Amiroim, and a shaila comes up. It's amazing. Somebody once asked me if I could meet one person in history, who would it be? I want to say Rava. Like my feeling is Rava. But okay. We know that if a Jew sells the Avodah Zarah, the money that he gets for it becomes aser. He's not allowed to benefit from that money. What about a goy that sells Avodah Zarah? Yeah? Demei avodas kechavim biyad ovet kechavim. A goy who sells his Avodah Zarah, mahu. What's the halacha with that money? Can the Jew benefit from that money? Let's say now the guy wants to pay back a loan. He owns the Jew. Yeah, he owes the Jew. Now he wants to give it to the Jew. So can a Jew benefit from that money or not? Do the Avodah Zarah, the Isra Avodah Zarah, now transfer over to the Damim or not? It's mistaber that it's mutter. Why? Because people came to Rabbi Ravua. He said to them, Zilu zabinu komad isluchu v'su is gairu. First sell everything you own, and then be magayer. My timer, what was the reason? Right? Which means like this. He said, sell all your avodah zaras, then with the money, go and be magayer. What do you mean with the money, go be magayer? I thought that the money of avodah zarah becomes usher. The answer is, not so fast. When it becomes when it's a guy's,
because
he's still a guy.
He can mevatel Avodah Zarah.
Oh, very good. He can be mevatel Avodah Zarah completely.
He's only mevatel. He can sell it. He can make the money to himself.
That's the Gemara's kasha. V'dil mashani hasam dekim the daitalik yurav adabatla. Maybe because he's about to convert to Judaism, so in his mind he decides completely to be mevatel it. That's why it's mutter. The money is mutter.
I don't know.
Look at him. See. Yeah, so maybe that's why it's mutter. Says the Gemara, Elamahacha. Have a raya, we're discussing whether the money of a guy sells Avodah Zarah, if the money of the guy is mutter. Elamahacha. Yisrael shayin noishim b'avet k'chav mana, samach dalad amar aleph, omochram b'etz k'chav mehevi lo yayin nesach hevi li mutter. If a yid lent money to a guy, the guy wants to pay him back. In order to pay him back, the guy sells Avodah Zarah as yayin nesach. So the money is mutter banav. If he says, wait until I sell my Avodah Zarah, and I'll bring you the money that I get for the Avodah Zarah, or wait for me until I sell my yayin nesach, and I bring you the money that I got for the yayin nesach, then it's aser. So what's a chiluk if he says hamtinli, wait for me until I do it, or he says stam, he doesn't say anything, he just sells it and brings the money. Amrav Sheishes Seifa Mishum Davar Kiroitze B'Kiyumai. Because in the Seifa, once the Jew hears that this is what he's going to do, he wants the Avodah Zarah to retain its value, so that the guy gets the money, so he can pay him back. So once he's Roitze B'Kiyumai, that money that he gets for it is Aser Bahana, because the Yid wanted that Avodah Zarah to remain Bishlei Musa. He's not doing anything. He's just his hope is that it should stay b'kiyuma, but he's not doing a maisa. In such a case, there's no isser. But nan, learned the Mishnah Dmai, ger v'avkichavim shiur shaviyan avkichavim.
כמו יid שמקבל כסף ששובר יין של עבודה זרה, כתביות של עבודה זרה. היית חושב שהוא רוצה בגיוון, מה אכפת לו?
מה אכפת לו? זה לא אכפת לו שום דבר. Because he's not doing anything, he's just hoping, in his heart, he hopes. Very good. Right? What happens when you have a ger that his father died? He has one brother that's still a guy. He's a ger, and his father left over a bunch. Me'ikaradin medin Torah. He's not even a Yerush. He's not even a Yerush. He's not a child, right?
What about the father?
What? Yeah, you can't know dummy. You remind me. Yeah. Nachon. Yeah.
I would think that he wouldn't get the Yerusha because, like, his father would think he abandoned them and would only give to the other son.
Oh, interesting. Okay, that's not what happened. Let's just say.
Was the
That's not-
father here also?
No, father was a guy. So I got an email before Tisha B'Av. Somebody said to me, I don't want to watch your film this Tisha B'Av because last year Tisha B'Av I sent you an email, you didn't respond. So, and then they copied the email that sent me. What was the email? The email was that in last year's film, I had a whole story with a ger that was Megayer, a bacher, who actually right now serves in the IDF, is just a fantastic guy. And he was Mamash Mesa Nefesh. He came from Costa Rica to Colombia to this community, and he was Megayer. And he hadn't seen his parents in 3 years. His parents were Goyim. They weren't Megayer yet.
Right. Well, they were interested in being.
And then later, like in those 3 years while he was away in yeshiva, the parents were Megayer. So the question was, in the film, I make the surprise. We set it up where this boy meets his mother after 3 years, and they fall in each other's arms and they hug. He says, "How are they allowed to hug? Gershon is gar kikot shenoila dami. She's a woman. His mother is not his mother anymore, even though she was Megayer, but she's also kiktana shenolda." And that was his email. I didn't reply, and that's why I didn't want to watch my film this year. So honestly, this is you deal with all kinds of feedback. So somebody pointed out, huh? Yeah, no, they were bothered by it. How can you feature Mamish Ger? So here also, just not to get sidetracked, but over here the Gemara is saying, Mishnah Demai, you have a Ger and his brother's a Goy, they yarshin money, but the Ger Kikon Shenoladami, he doesn't get really a chelik in the Yerusha Medin Torah. So what is, okay, so Midrabanan, yeah, he's allowed to get it. We'll see in a moment, boy. But the point is, the Ger says to his brother, listen, you take all the getchkelach from Tati, you take from Papa, from Dad, or you take all the getchkelach, and I'll take the money or the properties, right? A Jew, he's already a Jew, he wants the real estate. So anyway, nursing homes go to me, and you take the getchkelach. And then his Chacham says, okay, there's no problem. That he's allowed to say. Yeah?
I want to tell you something that was it was in Ner Israel. No, I was so focused on Arav Tzviyokovich, he was 80 something, it was a mishpacha of
Yep.
that the wife died,
Yeah.
and she got a lot of kids.
Okay.
Young. He got married, one of the other Avrechim, man.
Okay.
I mean, another woman that,
Yeah.
and the woman who raised the kids, and the she'ela is, when she hugged the boys. So Arav Bedrich, Arav Feldman, the Rosh Yeshiva,
Yeah.
with your permission, can I talk? So he said like that, he said that for their emotional development, even
Mutter.
though- mutter, yes, mutter.
We just-
אפילו אחרי בר מצווה.
Unbelievable.
We just went through this parsha with Rabbi Sauer this week.
I feel achra bar mitzvah,
אפילו אחרי בר מצווה.
that's when they,
Because I asked,
Sorry, yeah?
my
Yeah.
חתן, my son-in-law.
that's a big chiddush.
כן, אז
Wow.
אמרתי לו, מה עם זה? הוא אמר אפילו אחרי בר
That's a big chiddush. You have to be a big rough for that.
אפילו
Wow.
אחרי בר מצווה צריך emotional development.
Right,
איך הוא
right.
יתפתח, how he's going to get married.
Yeah. Wow.
We talked about basically we're dealing with the issue of adopting children.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I was very disappointed because basically a lot of the Gedolim
Said they can't.
completely, and there are two heteros.
You know what the answer is? Machlokes. Okay, it's a
No,
machlokes.
but it's, I mean,
Doctor.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, shalat chacham, and whoever you ask, yes.
I think
Okay, we gotta go back to yeah.
Rav Moshe says, I think the Eitzah is if you adopt like a girl or a boy before the age of 9, a girl before the age of 3, then it's not so chummer. But if the children are older, then it's a big problem. According to them, anyway. There's got to be a heter someplace. People do it, you know.
Okay. Shkayach. Everybody give their opinion right now. But nan ger v'chas yarshav v'yankov ger yachaloyim l'toil ata. But it says to his brother, the guy says, "You take over the zchmani etel mois toil ati aynesach v'ani peiros." But imish shabo l'shusager. Let's say they already divided it, and the ger already got Avodah Zarah. He got already the aynesach. Then he wants to redistribute it. So this way, the other brother gets the aynesach and Avodah Zarah also, because then it becomes chalifan with the Avodah Zarah because he already came to the rishos of the yid. So what do you see from here? You see that even though he's roitzim b'kiyumai, he's roitzim b'kiyumai. Why? Because he wants the brother in the ratio. He wants the brother to get the Avodah Zarah so he can get the money instead of the Avodah Zarah. And still it's mutter in the ratio. So what is the Murav Brolo? No, the Mishnah is talking about over there. Avodah Zarah has value even if it's not put together like a getchka. The shvarim themselves have. It's made of kesef or zov. Exactly. The material is is valuable. Teinach v'nischav mi'ay nesach Michael Ameimar.
What's the Daf Yomi?
It's the bottom of Daled Amud Aleph, like 4 lines in the bottom.
Okay.
I understand Avodah Kachavim has value even if it's broken because it's made out of gold or silver, so the materials have value. So even if it's not Avodah Zarah mamish, he's right to be kiyuma in the gold and the silver. But what about Yain Nesach? Says the Gemara, Becheres Hadriyani. Never knew this.
We learn about it.
Really?
We learned at the beginning.
I don't remember. I'm not doing zikr this sechta.
זה חמר חדש, it's like
It absorbs the wine.
like it's virgin clay that
Absorbs the wine. Unbelievable. So in other words,
So Hadriani means what? There's no
Hadriyani is.
from the place Adrianic.
But
It
there's
says
no,
here-
it's glazed or there is no glaze.
Doesn't matter. It's from
Says
that
the
place.
inventor of this kind of
Patent.
the patent is Adaryonas Caesar. So when he used to go fight in battle,
Yeah.
they used to want to bring along wine, but they couldn't bring along, liquid wine, so they had it absorbed in these clay cheres. So this way, when they added water to it, they were able to extract it,
Wow.
and that's when they were able to have wine. So I guess what would be a modern day example of this?
Like just these
Where, like Kool-Aid.
Content.
Kool-Aid, yeah, you just add water.
You have concentrated
Concentrated, exactly.
sugar,
Yeah,
colored sugar,
More than that, I mean, the
and you add water to it.
Right.
And voila.
bidyok.
Kedem and all these other companies, basically when they ship things, they concentrate it from a liquid into a gel,
Yeah.
and then when it gets to where it's going, they
Ver-
reconstitute
video.
it into a liquid.
That's called Kedem.
Some of the-
Stole
some-
it from Hadriani. They
Some
have a
of the
patent
things, some
already
of the things.
2,000 years ago.
You know,
Asks the Gemara, but
don't
he
quote
wants,
me because I could be wrong with the weather. Okay.
but he still wants it to be Niskayim.
Only recorded.
But he wants to be Niskayim. Why Shloi Gon v'Shloi Yavdusi? Even the Cheres of Daryani, he's going to tell me, okay, the Yain Nesach is not be'en, so it's not a problem if it's Reitze B'Kiyumai, right? But still, he wants that piece of the Avodah Zarah or the piece of the Yain Nesach that has the absorbed Yain Nesach in it. He doesn't want it to get lost or stolen because that itself is going to get him the money that he wants. You talk about Yerusha Sager, Shani Yerusha Sager, the Kilo Barabanan. There's a special kula by Yerusha Sager. You know why? Gzeira Shemiyachzak Kulai. There's a gzeira by a ger that if he sees that he's not going to be able to yarshin his father, let's say his father is Bill Gates or Elon Musk or some wealthy dude, and he's not going to be able to get money. Why not? Because he couldn't shenoilet. He's not really a son anymore because he's like a newborn child when he was this guy. So he's going to be chayzel kula. So obviously chayzel kula doesn't mean that he's going to become oisiyed. Once a Jew, always a Jew. You can't throw away your Judaism. It means chayzel means to the behavior of a guy. He's gonna maybe he's not gonna know that you can't become a guy once you're a Jew, or even if he knows, he's going to be OTD. So that's why Chazal knew the nisayon of money. The nisayon of money is so strong, it could drive even a ger who are so great. Somebody once came over to me in Colombia. They said to me, I don't understand. You daven Shemoneh Esrei 3 times a day. You say, Allah tzadikim, va'Allah chasidim, v'zikne she'eris amcha beis Yisrael, pleitas beis Yisrael, v'algeria tzedek, v'aleinu, and us. Says, why are we excluded? We're Gerim, we want to be a part of you. Gerim have a very big complex. They're very, 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 very sensitive. That's why there's so many mitzvahs. We have to misager to include them.
Right.
I never you would never even make this diak, but they're so sensitive, and saying why am I not Ve'aleinu? So we're filming in Colombia then. I remember which film it was, and one of my videographers from Lakewood, he's a shtickle Talmud Chacham. So he said, what do you mean? Read the whole bracha. It says Allah tzadikim va'Allah chasidim v'al ziknei she'edes amucha beis v'al pleitas efreim v'al geirei atzedek. You want to be in the list with the tzaddikim and the chasidim, or you want to be part of the Ve'aleinu? Which one? In other words, you're high up there.
So the tzaddikim are also not part of the lane.
Exactly. That means that there's the VIPs
Right.
are first. So you're part of the VIP. And it was like a smile. He smiled. Anyway, Kitzur.
Rabbi Yosef once wrote a letter to Chinu B'nai Tzil V'gam Ashkenazim.
That's the best.
I don't know if it's true or not.
שמעת? Chama Avadia. Kotav,
I knew that it was that mess.
he wrote a letter. L'achenu b'nei Yisrael v'gam Ashkenazim. I love that. That's
אבל
great.
הוא תמיד אומר, אחינו אשכנזים.
Achinu Ashkenazim. Yeah, he's the best. Yeah, oh my gosh, we just found footage of
I
Rabbi
did the
Yosef.
record. I really don't know if it's accurate. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, it could be accurate.
אני לא חושב שהוא אמר דבר, הוא תמיד אומר, אחינו אשכנזים.
No, he's full of Avos Yisrael. Anyway, so
Mine is different.
okay, so the Gemara says, but by a ger, Yerush Sager, they were makel, so you can't ask a kasha. Why aren't we machmer leisser because of roitze b'kiyuma by ger? Yerush Sager, they were makel because of gzeir shem yachzal kulkulay. Tayin amachi b'medvar amurim she yarshu. That's only when the ger and the guy, his brother or his so-called brother, yarshin from their father, his so-called father. But let's say a yid and a guy are b'shutfis, and they want to split. So Aser, the ger, cannot take the money and tell the partner to take the getchka, because then it would be chalipe avodah zarah, and in such a oifen it's Aser. Okay, so what do we see from here? What do we prove from the brisa? That at least you can't prove from the brisa the shaila. What was the shaila? The shaila of Amoraim was, what do we say? Demei avodas kechav biyad kechav mahu. Right, the money of an avodah zarah that the guy receives for avodah zarah. What's the halacha? Is a mutter or aser just like by a yid, and the Gemara says that we don't. Do we have a teretz to that? Aser chaman over there. Yeah, you have a teretz. So it's aser because right to be kiyumai. Okay, so the Gemara vayter. How do yasam kabaylu? We are the second line. Samach Alamad Beis. Nachash Shaila came up in the besmedrish of those Amoraim. Ger toishav mao sheyivat lavedes kacham. Can a ger toishav be mevat lavedes zara? Yeah. On the one hand, the polach mevatel, the loy polach loy mevatel. Ger toishav is somebody who does not serve avodah zarah. So only somebody who serves avodah zarah, he understands the importance, or he holds it in high esteem, so he can be mevatel. We said bittul means retracting from the importance you gave it. So if he's not over avodah zarah, maybe he can't be mevatel it. Idilma called the barmina mevatel, as long as he's a guy, but a ger toishav is a guy. With regard to many halachas. Barmina you, and this is a barmina, yeah, so maybe keep him mevatel it. Amalur nach mistabra, it's mistabra the palach mevatel, palach mevatel. He cannot be mevatel it because he's not serving it. Gemara says meisave kasha hasrol shematz v'es kravim b'shok.
למה גר תושב, הוא
Yeah.
עדיין גוי.
Even a nachri gomer, anybody who's not over avodah zarah, this is pasuk la'aloch and the Rambam Shulchan Aruch. Anyone who's not over avodah zarah cannot be mevatel.
להיות לפני בית דין של 3 חברים.
Okay, and be makabel.
כדי מקבל עליו 7 בתנוח, ואז הוא לא יכול לבטל עבודה זרה. אבל אם הוא לא עשה את זה, הוא גר תושב שם, הוא לא עשה את זה, הוא יכול לבטל עבודה זרה.
Okay, so just la halacha. If you look on the bottom of here in 6, so la halacha is passing the Rambam Shulchan Aruch in the Torah that any nachri gomer, even a nachri gomer that's not over avodah zarah, even if he wasn't makabel b'fnei bezdin, eino yochel levat avodah zarah. Cannot be mevat avodah zarah. Yeah. So, okay, but that's the halacha. Now the Gemara is just having the conversation. The Gemara's going
Arabs
through.
cannot, right? The Muslims cannot.
They're not considered Avodah Zarah.
Right.
They can't be mevatel. Yeah. And we explained this earlier. I remember, we explained this. I don't remember who. But to be mevatel Avodah Zarah, you have to. The yesod of bittul is to remove the chashivas that you'd given it. If you never gave it chashivas to begin with, you're not shaykh to bittul. Gemara says, "Meisavei Yisrael shematzav v'es kachav b'shok." Yisrael that found Avodah Zarah of a guy in the street, actually, before he is zoichen it, he can tell the guy can mevatel it. Mishabasal yada, once the yid does a mashiach agba, is kind it ain't mevatel, cannot give it to a guy to be mevatel. Why? Bein oivda, bein she'ein oivda. Only a guy can mevatel of a desire of a guy. Critical words. The brisa adds at the end. Bein oivda, bein she'ein oivda. It's a kasha in Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman says only if he's oivda can a guy be mevatel it. And this brisa says even she'ein oivda you can be mevatel it. Ah, that's the Gemara's answer. Says Gemara, my oivda, my she'ein oivda. Ileim idi samachdal with beis. Oh no, okay, fine. We got excited for a moment. My oivda, my oivda. Ileim idi v'adikchavim. They're both adikchavim. Hainu shaloi v'shel chaveiroi. Elo lav oivda chavim. My she'ein oivda ger toishav. If they're both avodah zarah, that's mamish what the Bryce said earlier. Shaloi shel chaveiroi. What's oivda? Ein oivda? Ein oivda is referring to ger toishav. You see, shmamina ger toishav and amim mevatel. You see, ger toishav mevatel. It's not like Rav Nachman. It's a kasha of Nachman. Whereas it's loy. It's not a kasha of Nachman.
Sorry, you say one time.
The diuk is that ein oivda is referring to ger toshav. How do you know ein oivda is referring to ger toshav? Because if it's a regular guy, that's included in shaloi v'shal chaveroi. The Bryce says two things. So who is chaveroi? Shaloi v'shal chaveroi. Who is a chaveroi? Chaveroi is a guy just like him. Who is oivda and ein oivda? Must be oivda and ein oivda is a guy and a ger toshav. Ein oivda is called a ger toshav, and you see that part of the list in the Brisa, on the list that can be mevatel Avodah Zarah is a ger toshav. That's not like Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman says kivin le polach le ain't a mevatel. What is
These
loy?
people who call themselves b'nei noyach, they'll have their bin of a ger toshav. I mean, who are these? A lot of these things are ex-Christians.
Oh, let's see what a ger toshav is. Let's see what a ger toshav is. We're gonna talk about that in a moment.
Yeah.
It's a very important question.
Yeah.
What is a ger toshav? How do you define a ger toshav?
Yeah.
We'll talk about it in a moment. What is this loy? Really, Eina Oivda is also referring to a guy. It's not referring to ger toshav. The Ka'amr T'hainu Shlev Shel Chaveiroi. You're going to tell me, no, another guy is already included in Shlev Shel Chaveiroi. That's Reisha Zevazel Pa'ar, Vezevazel Markulis. Shlev Shel Chaveiroi just means that they're both serving the same Avodah Zarah.
No, not Avodah Zarah.
Shlev Shel Chaveiroi is Zevazel Pa'ar, Vezevazel Markulis. Both are serving the same Avodah Zarah. Seifa, when it says oivda and eina oivda, it doesn't mean eina oivda legamri b'chlal. It means eina oivda the same avodah zarah. Seifa zela pa'ar v'zela markulis. So the seifa, when it says eina oivda, is not referring to a ger toshav that doesn't serve b'chlal. It's referring to a different avodah zarah. That's all. So you don't have a kasher of Nachman. The kasher of Nachman was eina oivda. We assume there's a ger toshav and says it can be mevatel it. And Nachman says you can't. Gemara says no. Eina oivda does not mean a ger toshav. It means somebody doesn't serve the same avodah zarah as the other guy, and nonetheless, he can be mevatel the other avodah zarah.
In other words, he serves one, he could be mevatel the opposite.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what oivda and oivda means.
This proves that the generic Avodah Zarah, we don't have to ask the goy exactly what he worships. So anybody's over Avodah Zarah is in the same ballgame.
That's exactly right. That's exactly what the Bryce is teaching. Doesn't matter what avodah zarah, what way you serve. The pa'il makulis we had was throwing stones. The pa'il is relieving yourself. It doesn't matter what it is. You believe in the concept of avodah zarah. That's enough to qualify you, so to speak, for bittul.
So those guys who worship gold, silver, and copper.
Yeah.
Also
I mean, sometimes you go to
A
Wall Street,
Yisrael
and they
can't be
mevatel
mevatel
Avodah
legamri.
Zarah.
That we know. If
You
it's
go
a
to
yid,
You go to Wall Street, and they can be mevatel Avodah Zarah.
doctor is joking. He's saying.
I know.
Yeah.
So am I.
Okay. Okay, now we go to your Shiloh, Rabbi Chadia. Meisaveh, Ezu ger toshav. What is a ger toshav? Lamaisa. Says the Gemara, a couple of opinions. Machlekes Tanoim. Kol shekibel olav b'fnei shloish chaverim, shlo ya lavid v'etz chavim divrei meir. Anyone who's makabel in front of a bezdin, he's never going to serve at Zar again. That is a ger toshav lahalacha. Acham oimrim kol shekibel olav shev mitzvah shekibel olav b'nei noyach. He's makabel shev mitzvah b'nei noyach. I know a hide. Acherim oimrim, elu loibo l'chal toshav. They are acherim. Which is interesting because Acherim is Reb Meir, and we just said Reb Meir. Acherim, it has to be somebody else, right? Yeah.
That's the rule.
Somebody else,
Males
not
in
Rabbi
the same Mishnah.
Right.
So that's not.
So that's Tosfos. Tosfos points out Karchach Acherim Docha Lav Hainu Reb Meir. It cannot be Reb Meir. Tosfos points this out. So now Acherim Oimrim Elu Lebo Lechal Ger Toshav. They're the most machmer. What is a Ger Toshav? It's not enough just not to be served by the Zara or a Sheva Mitzvahs. He's a ger that's oichel nevelis. Shekibel al l'kaim kol mitzvah amuris b'Torah chutz me'is nevelis. I guess he is addicted to his McDonald's cheeseburger, and he's like, no way, I'm not stopping nevelis.
McDonald and Coke.
McDonald and Coke. Yeah, Diet Coke or Coke? Which one is it? Which one is like
Diet Coke.
The guys.
Diet Coke?
The guys.
Sophisticated taste.
The guy's semi-shomer Shabbat. I mean, what is it?
Yeah. He's
No, seriously, what does it mean?
okay. Yeah, he means that he's makabel all the mitzvahs except for nevelis. Yeah.
So he's so mummer.
It's called the ger toshav. It's called the ger toshav.
He keeps Shabbos?
No.
And I know, I understand, he's not allowed to.
No. It says over here, the Chaznish points out that this kind of ger toshav, when it says kol mitzvahs, it means only lois ases. But Avadi is not allowed to perform ases.
Yeah.
You know, and except for the lois asa of nevela. Okay, so that's called the ger toshav. Lamaisa, la halacha, the Rambam, Rashi, and other places, he brings in the bottom is a ger toshav if somebody's makabel shev mitzvahs b'nei noyach. That's a ger toshav.
Yeah.
I happen to know a ger toshav. I filmed him. We're putting out there was a famous ger toshav. Avadi wrote him a letter. I saw there's footage we undug It was in some garage in Texas, and it's going to be featured
Yeah.
in the next film
Oh, you
Yeah.
told me that, you told
from
me that.
Wendell Jones.
Yes.
And we finally got the footage of Wendell speaking with Rav Avadia.
Who is this? What's his?
And Rav Avadia wrote him a letter.
Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Oh,
Rav Avadia wrote him a letter
yeah.
saying that he's mamish shevetz b'nei noyach goy, and he should be, continue his harbatzas ger toishev Torah with everybody else. Halacha ger toishev is somebody's mekabel shevetz b'nei noyach, and I know a guy, a wonderful ger toishev, who wishes he can become a full-fledged yid. His wife is not on board, and he says, for now, I'm safe with the Sheva Mitzvahs because that I know I can for sure keep. The 613 is a little bit a little much maybe, but Sheva Mitzvah can for sure keep, and he adores Yidden and the Torah. So, and his whole community told me, like on WhatsApp, they have mamish
Yeah.
of Noahites. They're called Noahites.
Right, that's right.
Yeah.
In the Bible Belt, in Central, like there are whole groups of
Yeah.
ex-Christians.
Yeah.
These are people who are.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
People who watch Gold.
And they're these are-
And there are halachas. You
and
have
there
to
are Rabbanim who
you have to help them
helping
with
them.
tzedakah. You have to
Yes.
help them.
Yes.
There's halachas with
Yeah.
ger toishav.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So the Gemara wants to know in this conversation, can a ger toishav be mavatal? Again, that's the shaila. Can a ger toishav be mavatal on Avodah Zarah? Right. That's really what we're talking about. So the Gemara says, miyachtin etzlo yayin. A couple of halachas that are negeya to a ger toishav. You can have wine. And alone with him, they can have yichud with wine, with your wine, and you don't have to be chayshish, they're going to be menasachin.
Not for so long time.
Not for a long time. Ve'im mafkid netzlo yayin, and you can't put the wine in his house for him to watch. Afilu be'ir shiru Yisrael. Aval miyach netzlo yayin, afilu be'ir shiru b'yavzikchavim. But you can be miyached even though most of the city's going. Shamnoi kiyayino. His shem is like yayin. The Gemara wants to know what that means. Shamnoi kiyayino is like gadaitach. Shemen mikav yayin nesech. What do you mean? Shemen is not yayin nesech. It's mutar bano. Shamne shel goyim is mutar bano. It's just mutar. It's aser b'achila. Elo yeinoi keshamne. The other way around. The yayin is like the shemen is like the shemen, which means it's mutar bano. It's only aser b'shtia.
Yeah.
Okay. L'shakal dover re'ikav yikchavim. In regard to everything else, he's like a goy. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel oimer yeino yayin nesech. No, their yayin is not mutar bano. It's mamash yayin nesech like a regular goy. Amrila, and some say Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel said fakert. It's mutar b'shtia. It's lakula legamri. But Ketani Mia, says the Gemara, Kasha of Nachman. What's the Kasha from this brisa? It says L'shar kol dvarei kod kchavim. It says that you have to treat a ger toishav like a guy. L'may hilchasa, with regard to what halacha? Gemara is assuming lav the mavatal of its chum that it could be mavatal and Avodah Zarah like a guy. And Rav Nachman said he can't because he's not serving an Avodah Zarah. So the Gemara is basically bringing a brisa, making an assumption, and asking a kasha. L'may hilchasa. Why is the brisa say that L'shar kol dvarei kod its chavim? It's inyan bittul. So it's a kasha of Nachman. Rav Nachman b'Yitzchak loy. Don't make that assumption. That's not what the brisa means. It means with regard to completely different halacha. Litin rishos or levatil rishos. It means to give rishos and to mevatel is rishos. Okay, this goes into a ruve chatzeris. We know that whenever you have a chatzir, a shiured chatzir, right? The way it used to work in the olden days is like imagine a ches, right? Imagine this Gemara a ches. You had a bunch of batim, a bunch of houses open to one chatzir. This chatzir midrabanan has a din of rishos rabim, right? You can't carry here on Shabbos midrabanan because it's a shared property, right? It's owned by a bunch of people. Okay, what do? Rabbi Chatzeir says basically you have everybody give a piece of bread, you put it in one of the houses, and now it's considered like everybody lives in one house, one rishos, and then you can carry in the chatzir. Now, the Gemara says that if it's a goy, we know for sure a goy cannot give his rishos. It doesn't help for him to give a piece of bread, right, and be part of that Rabbi Chatzeir. He's not subject to Rabbi Chatzeir's bachlal.
Yeah.
So what happens if you have a goy in that chatzir? Right, so the guy owns the chatzir, b'shutfus with everybody else. It's still rishus harab midrabanan. What happens? Teretz is, if it's a yid, you can be mavatal the rishus, which means that you give up the rishus and you give it to everybody else. You're like, give up your rights. That's one
everybody
way.
in that chutzner, lives in your living room.
Yeah, you can give it up.
Right.
So a goy is not subject. Goy is not subject to bittul.
Right.
Says the Gemara. A ger toishav is like a goy with regard to halachas of Rabbi Chatzeir, which means that he can't give a piece of bread to the pool of Yidden who are trying to live in the same property, so to speak, so they can carry in the Rabbi Chatzeir in the chatzir. A guy is not subject to that. He can't do litin rishos. He can't give it over his rishos. Ulevatel rishos. He also can't be mevatel rishos either. Karatanya Yisrael mum meshaber shabbatei b'shuk, which means that even though he is Machal Shabbos betzina. He only keeps Shabbos b'shuk, right? B'frehasya. Yeah. Mavatel rishus. He could still be mavatel rishus. If he didn't do every chatzeris, he could vatel rishus and be matter for everybody else to carry in the chatzer. She'ein mishamer shabbat b'shuk. If he's not mishamer shabbat b'shuk, ein mavatel rishus. She'omri Yisrael nois rishus mavatel rishus. A guy would have to rent out his property to everybody else in order for the chatzer to be mutter to carry. Ketzad, what does he do? How does the Yisrael give over the rishus and mavatel rishus? Omerle rishus yiknu lecha, rishus mavatelas lecha, kana ve'ein tzarich lezakos. Okay, that's a side halacha with regard to Rivich Chatzeres. But the point is, Gemara is saying that when it says v'lashar kol davar reu ka'ovet kechavim, a ger toishav is like a guy. He's like a guy with regard to the halachas of a Rivich Chatzeres. They're just like a guy cannot give his rishus or be mavatel his rishus with regard to the halachas of a Rivich Chatzeres. So too a ger toishav cannot do that. Yes.
What I did when I moved into my building, it's got like 40 apartments.
Okay.
Right. So when I moved in, I bought the rishus from the apartment manager. He has the keys to every apartment.
Okay.
I bought the rishus for strictly for religious purposes.
Okay.
It's not going to interfere with the use of anybody in hallways or anything
Not
like that.
going to their belonging and their safes, no?
What? No. Anyway, so I bought the rishus from him.
Right.
And I also made an Arab Katseros with a box of Pesach Techamatzes for any Jew that lived in the building.
Right.
So I counted 7 mezuzahs, and there are 40 apartments. So most of the people are goyim. But this is what I did. I spoke to Rabbi Sauer, and he says, that's fine. What you did was right.
Then what? What do you do?
In other words, what I did was I took an entire dollar bill,
Okay.
and I gave it to the property manager, the guy.
And
who
that was
lives
it. That was
on the
enough.
Right, a guy. And I said, this is strictly for religious purposes. I'm buying the right to carry in any hallway or any.
And that was good enough.
According to Rabbi Sauer, it's fine.
Wow. Okay. It's good to know. Okay, Zudi Gemara.
But
We're
I had
up
to do it. In other words, without that, I couldn't do it.
Right, because it's a sheer rishus.
Right, exactly. Right.
Okay, that's okay. We mentioned the next cycle, Erevin. We're gonna probably. Here's Hashem. We'll still be learning together.
Who knows? Alvai.
Okay, Rav Yehuda Shadele.
That will be an Eretz Yisrael by then.
Amen. Rav Yehuda Shadele Karbana. Rav Yehuda gave a gift. Lavidarna b'yom Edom. Gave a gift to a guy. His name is Avidarna. On the day of his festival for Avodah Zarah. Omar Yedana Bey. I know this guy. I know him. I know that he doesn't serve the Avodah Zarah. So Mela is no isser like the first mission of Beis Amar Aleph. Right? Start of Avodah Zarah was it's an isser to do masa matan or whatever. Give something to a guy b'yom Edom, even shlosh yamim kodim, because you're going to thank the Avodah Zarah and the Slifnei Iver. We said a ger toishav is somebody who was makabel on himself not to serve Avodah Zarah. Now, it's only somebody who is makabel b'frahesia b'fnei bezn not to serve Avodah Zarah. On him, you could be saimach, but Avadarno is never makabel himself not to serve Avodah Zarah. It should be aser, right? It's only if he's makabel b'frahesia b'fnei shloisha. Fnei Bezdin not serve Avodah Zarah, but Avadarna didn't do that, so how can you give the gift? It says Kitanya hilach yoisai. No, that is said with regard to the mitzvah of lach that unless he's makabel Fnei Bezdin shaloi lav Avodah Zarah, then you're not mitzvah lach yoisai. The mitzvah lach yoisai to help him and support him to make sure that he can live. That's only if he actually went through b'fnei Bezdin, b'fnei shloisha, and said, "I'm not going to serve Avodah Zarah." But in terms of giving him a gift, you don't need that. You can, if you know for sure he's not going to serve Avodah Zarah, even if he didn't do it for Shloisha, you can give him a gift. He's like a min, as long as he wasn't the guy. He's like a min. You know, somebody once told me, min is Rosh Tevis, mitalmide yeshu noitzri.
Wow.
Yeah? So he's like a min.
Wow.
Yeah? So ibazoi.
So what does that mean? That means a Yisrael Mummer? What does that mean?
No.
A guy completely.
Ger Toishav, that was going to be Megayer, but he didn't follow through.
Uh-huh.
Yeah? So over here, you see, you're not allowed, you treat him like a min.
Wow.
So how do you give him a gift?
Yeah.
Over there, no, he already committed to becoming a Yid, and he didn't follow through. There we say, aha. Then you must be so odik b'avodah zarah, you must be so attached to your avodah zarah, that now we have to be chayshish that that's why he didn't follow through, because he went back to avodah zarah. But otherwise, if he was never makabel lahedya, then you can assume he's not avodah zarah. There's no problem. Okay, Rava Amtel Korban L'Sheshach B'Yom Edom. Rava gave a gift to Bar Sheshach on the day of the festival of his Avodah Zarah. Omar Yedana Bid LePalach. He also said, I know that he's not going to serve the Avodah Zarah. He doesn't love his chavim, and therefore it's mutter. Osli, he went Ashkad Yosef at Savara Bavarda. He found him sitting in a merchatz, in a bathhouse, right? And he's totally covered in mevrodim. Mevrodim is
Rosewood.
water.
Rose water?
Rose water.
Yeah.
Rose water.
Yeah.
And rosé. V'kaimen zoynes arumois kamei. And he's mamish indulging in the pleasures of this world. He has zoynes arumois kamei. A Rav is walking in on this spectacle. Omar lei. So Basheshach says to Rava, Islchu ki hagavna lalma da'asi. No, are you going to have so much pleasure in Olam Haba? Like, you're such a tzaddik in this world. Is it awaiting? Is this what you're going to have about Alma Da'asi? Amalei. So Rav says, we have a lot more than this. We have a lot better waiting for us. A lot more pleasures. Amalei.
What in
the next world? Tfei mehai mihava? Is there even a greater pleasure than what I'm experiencing right now? Amalei. So Rav says, Aton ika alaychu eimsa de malchusa. You have on you an ema of the malchus, right? With all the pleasure that you have right now, yeah, you still have your fears, your insecurities. Yeah, you have the aim of the government on you. Amarle, ano miya mai ems malchus ikalai. He says, really? What kind of amos hamalchus do I have on me? Chanish gona, I have no worries right now. Ad yasvi also priska to the malka, as they're talking. So they have the shliach, a messenger of the king comes. Amarle, he said to Basheshach, let's go. Kum the Kabbalah Malka. The king wants to see you. Wow. So right away he realized that Rava's words came true on the spot. Ki nofik va'ozl. So as he's walking out, he's walking past Rava, Amarli says to Rava, Eina de boyel lemirzlechu b'shusa tifka. Any eye that looks badly or negatively on you and wants to harm you should immediately be uprooted. In other words, he realized Rava's greatness.
Yeah.
He realized how great Rava was.
So give him a bracha.
Gave him a bracha. Bercha said it.
Yeah.
Amar le Rava. Rava says Amen. Right away he said Amen. Yeah. By the way, the Magen Avraham says that you should say Amen to Yiratzon Shleivish Balabayis Ba'olam Hazeh. In Bercha Samazon, he writes, you got to say Amen. It's a bracha.
Yeah.
What's the makar? It's not a bracha that tiknu chazal. It's a bracha that we say. We say a bracha that any bracha. The makar is right here. Gemara says that even a guy who was sitting in a beis zoynus, who's giving you a bracha, say Amen. You know the famous story with the Chassidish Rebbe. He was at a tish. The Chassidim heard him say Amen. Yeah, Amen, 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 Amen. So they said, Rebbe, what are you saying Amen so many times for? He says, Amen is reshatevis. I need money. So the Chassidim said, Rebbe, you should say ve'amen. So Rebbe said, why should I say ve'amen? So they said, because we all need money. Anyway, Kitzur Mai says, say amen. Amen. You got to say amen to Berchas Hadyet. Paka eina the Bar Sheshach. So right away, as soon as Rava said amen, right, the Bar Sheshach's eyes were uprooted, right? And what happened? His own klala came true as Rava said amen. He said, anyone who wants to harm you, anyone who puts a negative eye on you, his eyes should be uprooted. And right away, what happened? Paka eina the Bar Sheshach. So there's a lot of stuff going on over there. I see it's like Isaac Chaver they bring down from a tzaddik HaKohen from Lublin, groise Torah on this Gemara. Either way, Amar Rav Papi. Rav Papi said, in Rava's answer to Bar Sheshach, he had a much better answer. You should have said the pasuk in Tehillim when he asked him, "Do you have this kind of pleasure in the next world?" He should have said, "B'nois malachim b'kreisecha mitzvah sheiga lemincha b'chesem oifir." Right? The pasuk in Tehillim describes the tanugim that Klai Yisrael b'zaychen olam haba, and that description it's way more than Bar Sheshach experienced. So why do you say that pasuk? He should have said also a different pasuk in Yeshaya. No eye has ever seen what Hashem, the schar, the reward Hashem is going to give to those who hope for Him. So why did he say from those two psukim? He should have said from those two psukim. Lamaisa Rava said to him, you have Emes HaMalchus. It's funny because Rav Papi is saying, Rav Yitzchak is saying he should have quoted a pasuk. But if he would have quoted the pasuk, whatever happened never would have happened. See, only because of what Rava answered him and the way he answered him, did it play out the way it played out. Because Rava said, you have Amos HaMalchus. Says, really, where's my Amos HaMalchus? And then Rava's words came true. And then the Klala, right? But if he just would have said a pasuk, it would have ended there.
He couldn't
So,
say, he couldn't say other than that, because he would say, Pasuk Torah, there was Putzo, there was none of them.
ooh, יפה
That's
מאוד.
why he told him, Emet HaMalchut.
יפה מאוד, לא חשבתי על זה.
This shows he has Ruach HaKodesh.
Rav had Ruach HaKodesh. Psh, it's for sure.
He knew that's going to be his end.
Yeah. I mean, he already predicted, because he knew it beforehand. It didn't outplay as a result of this. This is what he knew.
זה הפשט.
Well, he didn't want to say it because of the Zionist. Beautiful. Beautiful.
אמר לו, שמע, הוא נתן לו מוסר.
Mamash beautiful.
more likely, הוא נתן לו מוסר.
Right. Beautiful. Wow. Okay, zug dem Gemara weiter.
שייך להגיד דברי תורה עכשיו שיש פרוצות שם.
Right.
תן לו מוסר.
Even a base kisa, you can't say that.
תן לו מוסר. זה יותר גרוע מבית הכיסא משהו. יותר גרוע מבית
The boy is
הכיסא.
not going to accept mercy.
לא, למה? הוא נתן לו
Depends
מוסר.
on who.
He's a guy. He's
Depends
זה לא
on
משנה.
who.
הגוי שאל אותו על התענוגות. זאת אומרת שיש לו איזה עניין בהבנה רוחנית. עם כל התענוגות שלו שהוא כמו פרא אדם.
So he's right. I mean, this is the only option Rava had.
I see over here on the bottom, there's another girsa. There's a girsa that he should have told him another pasuk. Omer of Nachman Bar Yitzchak, the Ein Yaakov. They should have said to him, Rava should have answered him, Elo'im Elo'im Yamotz. Parshas told us. Yeah, it was the chelik of the nevuah that Rivka got in Shem Ve'ever, Yeshiva Shem Ve'ever, when she went to be Doirish.
Yeah.
What's going on? By
Right.
Sort Savana Bekirba, it says Shnei Goyim V'Vitnech, right?
Right.
And Lo'im Lo'im Yamotz. So here, you see that Yaakov is going to override Esav,
Yeah.
and so you should have given him that pasuk. That's interesting. I'm not sure how you see in that pasuk the tanugim. It's not so mafurish in that pasuk the pleasures. The other two pasukim we have here talked about the pleasures of Olam Haba, but it doesn't talk so much about the pleasures. Okay, so we go weiter. Let's see a couple more lines. Says the Gemara, "Schoroi lasis imay melacha acheres." What if the guy? Remember the Mishnah said, we started the first Mishnah Seches HaPoel. Mishnah says that if a guy hires you to do work with Yain Nesach, you can't take the money, right? You can't take the chalupe avodas kechavim, whatever. Even if you get hired out, you can't take money. What if he didn't hire you for Avodah Zarah or Yain Nesach? He hired you for something else, and then like in middle of whatever, afterward he said, "Can you do me a favor? Do this as well." Then you're mutter. It's mutter to take the money. So that's the Gemara says, "Schore las imay melacha acheres." Says the Gemara. The Mishnah said that it's mutter to take the money. So the question is, so let's say a guy hires him for the day to help him do his garden, right? And then at the end of the day, he says, "Could you help me with the Yain Nesach?" So that's understandable why it's mutter to take the money, because he didn't hire you for the Yain Nesach. He hired you to to prune his tree.
Because he would have gotten it either way, or
And he would have gotten it either way. It wasn't part of the deal at all. So Gemara says no. It's even if he didn't tell him at the end of the day. Yeah, even if he said in the middle of the day, before he became a chuyev in the money, right? He said, "I'm hiring you for the day." He made him busy with a bunch of different malachas, and part of the malachas that he made him busy with during the day was yain nesach. So even there, it's mutter to take the money, even though the work for yain nesach was performed before the chiyuv tashlumin came into being, because it still didn't reach the end of the day, right? He told him in the middle of the day. So now the tashlumin is going even for the work on yain nesach. It's still mutter. Asks the Gemara, "Mini aserches hapoil ulatoise erev omerloi haver chavis yain nesach makam u'makayim scharoi mutter. The schar is mutter. Time of the omerloi erev. It says clearly. It's only if he says it at the end of the day, which means that the schar was already mechuyev. He was already mechuyev to pay him. Beyond that, he said, "Can you do me a favor and do the yain nesach?" So the schar has nothing to do with it. The schar was already earned from the day's work. Afterwards, he said to him, "That's when it's mutter." So you see, time of the Maltese Erev, it's only if he set them in the evening, after he became a chuyev to pay him on the other work, that's when he set them by Yain Nesach, that's why it's mutter. So only if it says a Tose Erev and, that's why it's mutter. Kulu Yoim Maloi. But if he says it during the day, before he became a chuyev in the Tashlumen, then it's Aser. Omer Abaye, Kitnan Nam Masnisen, the Omer L'Tose Erev Tanan. When do we say in the Mishnah that it's mutter? It's only if it's L'Itose Erev. You have to taka learn in the Mishnah that when it says that he hired him for different malacha, it's mutter. It's only if the Yain Nesach, the job of the Yain Nesach came afterwards. After he became a chuyev tashlumin. Says Rava Malay Kasha. Rava says not a Kasha. Hodom lehavli me chavis me prutas. Hodom lehavli chavis bepruta. Very simple. Rava says simple teretz. Depends how we articulated it. If the guy said to the yid, the poil, he says, "Could you do me a favor? Transport 100 barrels for 100 prutas," which means before he does the 100 barrels, he's not mechuyev to pay him. Because the deal was, after 100 barrels, after you transport the 100 barrels, that's when I'll pay you. So if one of the barrels is Yain Nesach, he's not going to get paid. Because that's one of the 100 barrels which brought about the chiyuv of Meya Prutais. So that generated the chiyuv. It's part of the 100 that was part of the deal. That's also. But over here in our Mishnah where it says it's mutter, he says, I'm going to give you for each chavius a pruta. So the 99 that were mutter, you can get money for that because it wasn't part of the deal. Each one was a separate deal. The 100th or whatever, whichever one was Yain Nesach, that you have to deduct and throw it to the Yam HaMelech. That's the only issue. And V'atanya, the arrive from a brisa, if he said, I'll give you, I'll pay you one chavis at a time, so then it's mutter for each chavius, except for the chavis of Yain Nesach. If he said, Meya chavius together, and one of them was a Yain Nesach chavius, then it's aser, because that's part of the Meya of the package deal that he made with him, and you needed that chavius in order for the Meya Prutas, the Chiv Meya Prutas to come about. Okay, stop over here.
Good.